Hello, everybody. This is Secular Sekai with Tridents Against Tyrants. And we are back again with another day of the war in Ukraine. We're going to go ahead and jump into news. Today, time is a little different than usual because I was extremely busy before coming to the stream. So, we're gonna go for we'll go for a while, maybe 45 minutes or an hour. But thank you for being here. Welcome. If you get a chance, please share the stream. Since this is not the usual time, I don't think this is the ideal time for everybody, but perhaps we still get some interested viewers at this time slot. All right, let's see. I see Anna, Darren Vaughn, Mark Sangamon. Welcome. And let's open up the Q&A box. Okay, Q&A box is open. So first, before we go ahead and get started, I'm going to go ahead and read some questions from last week that didn't get covered because of time constraints. Let me pull those up. Dang. Okay, well, I'm going to have to look for those questions from last week because I know that I saved them because I realized afterward that I didn't have them and I needed to save them. But luckily, I've got another question here that I can read in the meantime until I find those. Here we go. And there was only one question from last week. Okay. Assuming that's the right one. All right. Yeah, I think I only have the two questions. Okay. Oh, no. Here we go. There they are. All right. So we'll start with the ones from last week. So first question from It Wasn't Me. Many commentators expect the AFU to take over the area south of the same river in the coming weeks. I see an advantage in this if or when negotiations take place, but apart from that, wouldn't it be blank? Well, the question is incomplete, but from the context, south of the same river in the coming weeks, I see an advantage if negotiations take place, but apart from that, wouldn't it be? I'm assuming that the last word here is supposed to be not worthwhile, or wouldn't it be illogical, something like that. And I think if you're hearing a lot of commentators talk about a certain specific area, that's probably for Russians to hear as well and for them to worry about it. But the entirety of the Kursk operation is all about negotiations. If Ukraine were to push and grab lots and lots more and more of Kursk and then have to defend those borders after they take it. Remember that Ukraine will have to devote troops long term from now on to protect all of those gains. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. And the more that they take, the more they can possibly negotiate with. But oh, sorry. I got a message asking me if we were live, but we should be. Give me a plus if you guys can hear me, so I know I haven't just been talking into the ether for the last few minutes. Ah, very good. Hey, Adrian. Oh, and I have your question that I can answer here in a bit too. And maybe this time slot works well, because I know, I think it's been a minute since I've seen you in one of the streams, but I could also be remembering wrong, which is very likely. Although I know I definitely have seen you in other streams, like Rick streams and stuff recently. So, hey, Adrian, and in the shows just a moment ago. But yeah, good to see you. All right. Now then, let's continue. The next question was, so anyway, yeah. I hope that answers the question, but, yeah, I don't think you should worry too much about exactly which parts of Kursk are taken. More along the lines of what defensive positions, what defensive lines are Ukrainians drawing and willing to defend and commit troops to? That's the better question when we look at the map right now. Neon UA. So Neon UA asks, what do we know about the new French Prime Minister? Will he help Ukraine? At Tridents Against Tyrants. Well, I know from what I've heard. No, wait. I'm thinking of a different country's recent prime minister compared to the president. Well, let's just take a look. Apparently, this is a perfect question to ask because this is from last week, and there are still news outlets asking the exact same question. So, unless I really dig into his political history within French politics, I think it's going to be hard for me to know. So I'm just going to honestly say I don't know, and I'd probably have to go do some research on political writings in French itself to get a good idea of his stances. But if he's against Le Pen and the rest of her ideologically very far right, excuse me, very far right allies, if he's siding more with Macron, then I imagine that he probably would be either for status quo with current French relations with Ukraine or would push to provide more to Ukraine, which I do not know. Next question was, From Prepper Nation H. Sorry, I have been driving for the last 3 hours. Does Ukraine have combat engineering units that can build new alternative supply roads that bypass Pokrovsk? Ukraine does have a dedicated combat engineering corps. Yeah, combat engineers corps. Military engineering corps, I guess I should say. But as for whether they have the manpower and the ability to build said roads and defend them, keep them outside of fire control of the enemy quickly enough for it to make a difference, that is hard to say. Because remember, there aren't any natural defenses or fortifications, or there aren't that many which can be utilized, like mountains or things like that. It's very, very, very flat. And so you're out in the open when you're doing a lot of that. That's why trenches are so necessary, to avoid bombardment by the enemy when you're getting close to the front. So I would say yes, but whether they have the manpower or the proper battlefield to really make use of those engineers quickly enough for it to make a difference. I mean, it is moving slow enough that perhaps they could get some roads made, but at the end of the day, you're devoting manpower to putting all of that together when you're not certain if you can stop the enemy's advancement or their pushes. I imagine small roads could be built quickly if needed for certain supply routes, but any large undertaking that's going to be well fortified, the manpower shortage has to be solved first. That's my opinion, at least. Thank you. And finally, the last question is, let's see. Is there any info about the Australian Slinger Sharad system, how it's performing? Seems like the proper anti-drone system that is dearly needed. Oh, Shorad system. Well, there's been talk about it being sent to Ukraine for a long while, and I know a few Australians who have talked about this system actually in passing when I've spoken with them before. But the first Slinger was exported to Ukraine a year ago. And then there have been others that have been provided here and there since then. So as far as its performance, let's see. Let me check something real fast so we can get that answered, and then we're going to move on to news articles. From what I can see, it has shown promise, and it has successfully been used to down several drones. It can achieve high degree of accuracy, often living up to its one-shot, one-kill slogan, and operate effectively in various weather conditions and at night thanks to its thermal imaging capabilities. And has also proven cost-effective. Very cost-effective compared to using missiles or other more expensive counter-drone solutions. So basically it seems like they've been quite useful, and it's been able to do what it needs to at a fraction of the price of other similar methods. So uh from what I can see here from a few reports, it seems as though uh not only is it effective and affordable, but it's also mobile. And yeah, well, having that mobility is incredibly important, not only to avoid losing your system, but to be able to deploy anti-drone defense systems in as many places as possible where it's needed the most in modern warfare scenarios. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. It seems like it's been doing a good job, and hopefully we see more of them ordered for Ukraine soon. All right, next. Let's jump right into the news. Appreciate you all being here today. So first, from Radio Free Europe Liberty, RFERL, Radio Liberty, rferl.org, posting into the chat. Yeah, you're welcome, Adrian. Thank you for a great question. All right, Russia's RT network working directly with Kremlin to spread disinformation, according to the United States. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the United States has gathered new evidence that exposes cooperation between RT and 4 other subsidiaries of the Rossiya Segodnya media group. In Washington, the United States on September 13th said the Russian news outlet RT is taking orders directly from the Kremlin and working with Russian military intelligence to spread disinformation around the world to undermine democracies. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the United States has gathered new evidence that exposes the cooperation between RT and 4 other subsidiaries of the Rossiya Segodnya media group, and it intends to warn other countries of the threat of the disinformation. In addition to RT, Rossiya Segodnya operates RIA Novosti, TV Novosti, Ruptli, and Sputnik, but the announcement on September 13th focused largely on RT. The outlet, formerly known as Russia Today, has previously been sanctioned for its work to allegedly spread Kremlin propaganda and disinformation. It was the focus of an announcement last week by the U.S. Justice Department, which warned Americans about Russia's attempt to influence the 2024 presidential election. The State Department and Treasury Department also issued warnings last week about the Rossiya Segodnya and its subsidiaries and announced sanctions, but Blinken and other officials who briefed reporters at the State Department on September 13th said they wanted to stress the global nature of their warnings. So this is, of course, of no surprise to pretty much any of us. And yeah, I don't know what to say other than, RT, Sputnik, clearly and obviously Russian news outlets being nothing more than political mouthpieces and, vehicles of espionage for the Russian government. Wow, you don't say. I'm so incredibly surprised. Sometimes it's as simple as if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it is a duck, damn it. Yeah, there's additional information covered in this article that I will let you all go ahead and take a look because some of it goes beyond this initial headline. Let's take a look at the next one. Some positive news. From the Kiev Independent. Ukraine war latest. 49 Ukrainians released from Russian captivity, and Finland announces new aid package for Ukraine. 49 Ukrainians released from Russian captivity. Finland announces a $130 million aid package for Ukraine. Russia's rapid offensive in Kursk Oblast hasn't yet achieved serious success, Zelensky says. Russia buys Western aircraft parts via intermediaries despite sanctions. Attackums pointless without ability to strike inside Russia, Zelensky says at Yes conference. Ukraine brought back 49 Ukrainian soldiers and civilians from Russian captivity. Oh, my battery's about to die. 1 sec. Okay, there we go. On September 13th, President Volodymyr Zelensky said, "These include personnel of the armed forces, the National Guard, the National Police, and border guards. A total of 23 women were brought back, including civilians detained and illegally imprisoned by Russia before the full-scale invasion." That's a long time. Man, since early 2022. The coordination headquarters for the treatment of prisoners of war reported. Lenia Umerova, a Crimean Tatar, is among the released. She was detained by Russia at the Georgian-Russian border in 2022 when she traveled to occupied Crimea to look after her cancer-stricken father. Military medic and hero of Ukraine, Viktor Ivchuk, was also among those released. Ivchuk, a colonel of the armed forces and head of a military hospital in Mariupol, has been held captive by Russia since April 2022. "We have to bring home all of our soldiers and civilians," Zelensky said. The released captives included 15 soldiers of the Azov brigade who defended the city of Mariupol in 2022. The Azov soldiers were included in the exchange for the first time in a long time. This group consists mainly of women, said the subdivision of Azov responsible for captured, killed, and injured soldiers. 13 sailors, 8 soldiers of the armed forces, 2 police officers, and 4 border guards were also freed from Russian captivity, according to the headquarters. This is the 56th prisoner exchange since the outbreak of the full-scale war. A total of 3,569 Ukrainians have been brought back from Russian captivity, Ukraine's ombudsman Dmytro Lubinets said. Kiev aims to conduct an all prisoner exchange, which was one of the issues at Ukraine's peace summit in Switzerland in mid-June. So, good that there are soldiers and civilians who have been brought back, and let's look at the Finland aid package. Helsinki will send its 25th package of military assistance to Ukraine, valued at around 118 million euros, on September 13th, the Finnish Defense Ministry announced. The total amount of military aid Finland has sent to Kiev now stands at 2.3 billion euros, or $2.5 billion, the ministry said. The war situation in Ukraine remains serious. As promised, Finland continues to provide material assistance. Our message to our partners is that we must not give up, Finnish Defense Minister Antti Hakanen said. The full list of arms the new package contains and the time of its delivery were not disclosed. Finland and Ukraine signed a 10-year security agreement in April, which President Volodymyr Zelensky called a strong document that proves Finland's readiness to continue supporting Ukraine in the fight against Russian aggression. So, good news there. Hope to see more. All right, and if you want to read the rest of the information on that page, feel free to check out the article. And with that, let's do something a little different. Let's close this. Let's take a look at the let's hop over to look at the map, the deep state map. All right, let's see here. So, today is September 14th. Let's take a look at what's happening in the Kursk region with the offensive in Kursk. So, in the last 1 week period, it appears that we're starting to see counterattacks from the enemy. So, yeah, as you can see, unfortunately, a large swath of territory taken and held by Ukraine when they started this offensive were, yeah, a bit of a... So there was one offensive there where gray area was reestablished as no longer fully under Ukrainian control. And then there was a large sweeping attack, which the Russians used to push Ukrainians back further to the east. However, in response to this, and this makes sense because Ukraine, in this scenario out here in Kursk, is focused, I would say, on holding what they can, but distracting the Russians and forcing them to send troops to fight in on different fronts here in Kursk as a distraction from the rest of Ukraine. You can see that this area over here is now unknown after that large Russian counteroffensive took place. And as of now, even though the Russians pushed back here, we see this pocket here that still has Ukrainian soldiers fighting in it, seemingly going in the direction of Glushkovo, if they have that as a region, a town of focus, although I doubt it. Well, no, it is possible because, yeah, like was mentioned in that comment earlier, pushing up this way to the same, this river right here, you can see that the armed forces of Ukraine were heading in that direction when the enemy did a counteroffensive and pushed them back this way, but they're still pushing to get toward that direction with another offensive now from down here, from the south going northward. Now, so hopefully we see more on that front. In Belgorod, let's take a look. Yeah, the Russians are continuing to try to keep this little tiny buffer that they have over here. Yeah, in order to prevent Ukrainians from launching as many incursions, as many raids into Belgorod. Of course, this road right here is not under their control, so whether it's under fire control, not 100% sure. This looks like it's a close enough distance it could be, but then again, any of these regions deeper into Russian territory could also be used. Oh. Well, that would be for troops that take this main road to get to Belgorod as a city. As far as missiles go, though, I think the Russians are just wanting to make sure that they have a buffer from physical incursions by troops, and also to try to set up some kind of, if they're smart, some kind of line for anti-air defense. But Russia, their airspace, there's just so much to defend. There's no way they're going to be able to do that effectively. But you can see just from how frantically they're trying to push back both Kursk and Belgorod are two regions that the Russians are very upset that they ever lost any, well, that they've had any issues with them to begin with that challenged the narrative of Russian military supremacy. Going back to the front lines of Ukrainian territory that must not fall under enemy control. I want you guys to take a look here and see something. For the long term, the long term figuring of this war. So here's Luhansk, and then let's see, Mariupol, Luhansk, Donetsk, forming the entirety of Donbass. So it's a little hard to see, but you can kind of make out the lines for Luhansk, which are mostly under enemy control. And then here the demarcation for Donetsk. And the enemy continues to push toward Pokrovsk. And they are getting closer, guys. And it doesn't look good. It's a creep that is happening little by little each day. And when we're giving resources, sending resources, it really needs to be focused on this area badly. But it's not just resources, it's manpower. That's what's really needed by Ukraine. Soldiers to help hold the line out this way. Because the Russians are pushing extra hard because they are afraid. They are very concerned of what's going to happen come November. If Kamala Harris, not if, but when Kamala Harris and her administration win the election in the U.S. and take the office. Now, there could be some drama with Trump for a long while after that, but the Harris administration, like the Biden administration before it, would have the power of the United States, would command the authority to be able to send more to Ukraine, and that is something that they are very concerned about. Now, how concerned they have to be about that, it really depends on how the election goes, not just for the presidency, but for Congress as a whole. Guys, if you have to push to make sure that Donald Trump does not win the presidency, that absolutely 100% needs to be the top goal. That has to happen before anything else. But also, if you're an American listening, 3 things really need to be done at the same time. Go push like crazy for the Harris administration, for Harris-Walz ticket to win the presidency and vice presidency. And make sure to push for Democrats to flip additional House seats in their favor so they can actually have a majority, and push even harder to make sure that the Senate remains under the control of Democrats. Because the reality is, guys, and this is something I've been concerned about for a long, long while, unless Kamala Harris proves herself to be brazen and unyielding and willing to make executive decisions when she gets into the Oval Office, even if she doesn't control both houses of Congress, find a way to make it work regardless. Well, we're going to be in the exact same situation. Without a full sweep of all 3 by Democrats, Ukraine is going to be left waiting. I feel pretty sure about that, unless one thing changes, unless more sane Republicans, non-MAGA, never Trump Republicans, start winning their races. So it'll really come down to both Democrat performance and the performance of Republican alternatives to Trump. So, yeah, get out there Hello. Okay, now I should be audible. That is so weird. Okay. That is annoying. Okay, well, thank you for letting me know, guys. I can see now that I didn't have audio for a little while there. I don't know what, I might have to go back to Restream for a little bit, guys. I really, really like using OBS, but something is up with my configuration because this has happened more than once where I'm in. And there it went again. A lot of the time, I'll be mid sentence, and then all of a sudden, it's just down. It's gone. And that was happening for a while with one of my channels, audio channels, and then I switched to another. Then it started happening with that channel. And I'm wondering if it might just be an issue with my M game console. But I never have that problem unless I'm on OBS. I've never had that problem as a guest. I've never had it with Restream. So I might have to temporarily start using Restream a bit more. Because I do love OBS, but I run into some bugs with it sometimes. Anyway, for all of what you guys might have lost, I hope that I was audible when I was talking about the other sections of the map, but basically it's not looking good. Pokrovsk, the enemy is moving toward at a pretty lightning fast rate. Kupiansk, they're also quietly inching toward. Ukraine needs more armaments from the West, but it's not just armaments, guys. We're at the point now where, at a bare minimum, and I'm glad the Baltic nations are talking about it. I just hope it's more than just talk and they actually do follow through. At the bare minimum, we need some logistics networks and we need some trainers to to actually go to Ukrainian territory and fight alongside Ukrainians. Train Ukrainians at a bare minimum. If we're going to have soldiers who actually fight in Ukraine, that comes down to each nation state if they're willing to do that, to go that extra mile. But Ukraine needs troops. They really do. And even the people who are trainers right now really need to have their hands free to be serving at the front lines, especially the very skilled ones with lots of experience, veterans. So, yeah, I think that the next step really comes down to which countries, which NATO countries, this is what it comes down to, guys. Which NATO countries are actually going to put their money where their mouth is and put soldiers in Ukraine for any purpose, even if it's non-combat roles. Who is going to put boots on the ground and do more than just talk about doing it for 6 months or longer? And if the answer is nobody, then things are looking. And there went my audio again. Yeah, next time we're going to just use Restream and we're going to see if this issue pops up again. Because this is ridiculous. But anyway, it'll come down to that. Whether or not Ukraine's allies are willing to actually put troops in Ukraine. Okay. Still no audio? I should be audible. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm confirming that I've got audio again. But thanks for letting me know, guys. All right, so where are we at? We're already 45 minutes into the stream. Kind of went over the map a little bit. I hope that most of what I said was audible, but that gives you a decent overview of where we're currently at with the situation. Yeah. And, you know, I've got friends right now who are getting ready to start their training and go in there and get involved with the fighting. Um, you know, people in and out of Ukraine, all over. Lots of people, no people who have been serving. I had a very brief interaction with someone who's, uh, I think where were they? They were in, I want to say Kentucky, and their son came, you know, thankfully wasn't badly wounded, but was honorably discharged and is back home now because, well, they were wounded, and they decided to go home and be with their family. But for a lot of people, it's not just a simple injury that you can recover from. There are many with irreparable permanent damage. There are many who have, who are KIA or MIA. And yeah, all I can say is the collective West needs to do more, because if the US, the European Union, other NATO countries think that a conflict of this size and this magnitude is one that can eventually just be stabilized and turned into a Cold War conflict, they're mistaken. Russia isn't looking to, set up troops along a giant, a giant front line for 50 years like the Korean Peninsula and just sit there and, be happy with just that. No, one more time looking at the map, you want to know what the worst case scenario is, guys, in my opinion, because I don't think it's realistic that Ukraine would fall completely. It just isn't. It's not possible at this point. But the absolute worst case scenario is this: not enough weapons, not enough support, not enough troops, never addressed, no natural landscape defenses. And the Russians, if something isn't done to halt their advances, pushing all the way to Dnipro and getting not just Luhansk and Donetsk, but the majority of eastern Ukraine up to the rivers, up to the only natural barriers that Ukraine has. Just like down here. Just like how in Kherson there hasn't been a breakthrough from either side, this river has helped to ensure that. All the way up here to Zaporizhia, all the way across over here, it stabilizes. But over here in the east, not so much. And the Russians want to push until they get all of Lysychansk, Kupiansk, Pokrovsk. If they somehow can manage it, if there isn't enough support, if they're willing to put the resources in for 3 more years, 4 more years, try to push all the way to Pavlohrad or Novomoskovsk, and at that point, if they hit the Dnipro, then, there wouldn't even be a need for them to go all the way and take Kiev. I'm a little upset right now, so I'm going on a rant. But at that point, they would be taking so much of Ukraine that it would be transforming Ukraine into a rump state. And we cannot allow that. Okay? We can't allow them to push to the rivers. So, and there are a lot of good men and women who are losing their lives, who are dying, who are putting their lives at risk to defend the freedom of not just Ukrainians, but your freedom, so that more wars don't break out, so that tomorrow there isn't a war in Republic of Georgia, so that tomorrow there isn't a war in the Baltics. Russia feeling like they can try to do that and see, play chicken with NATO and say, well, what are you going to do now? Are you going to actually fight us to try to take this back? So that there isn't a war one day involving, however it might manifest, Russia and perhaps even Turkey, if they felt that they even though they're a NATO member. Who knows how they might react? They have their own interests. We've got to stop it here. And we've heard that a million times before. Greg Terry has said it before. Rick has said it before. And we got to keep saying it, and we got to keep pushing. Call your elected representatives, please. If you don't know how, we used to have a call campaign that we organized through Tridents Against Tyrants, and unfortunately, we just had interest that fell off for it after a little while. But there is a dedicated group that is very well organized, and they do their calls. They've been doing their calls for 2 years now. If you want to get involved in that, then let me pull them up. One sec. Hold on. Let me go get this link. One sec, everybody. We're just going to stick with U.S. Congress for Americans for right now. There is a call campaign for Europeans, and if there's enough interest, then please join our Discord and go to the EU Parliament campaign if you are an EU citizen and you have an interest in joining us in getting that set up again. But for Americans, all right. Well, unfortunately, I'm just finding the old Zoom calls for them, which is quite unfortunate because we have a link and it used to be posted regularly that shows exactly how Americans can contact their representatives. But that's okay. I'll find it and I'll put it up for you guys here in a bit. For right now, the best place that you can go would be Razom. They also have their own template and their own way for you to contact your elected representatives as an American. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on the screen and put it into the chat for everybody too. As soon as it loads. Here we go. Voter voice, Razom. Mr. Squiggle asks, do I have it saved as an instruction? No, it was just a page that was very, very useful, which having to fix this audio problem again. Anyway, there used to be an individual link, and I'm sure it's still somewhere where I'll find it later, and I'll post it in the Discord. But for now, Razom Advocacy is a very good option. I'm going to pull that up right now to show you guys. All right, here we go. Razom Action Center. Yes. And yeah. So the most recent one here from in July, they did one. Russia kills sick kids. America needs to let Ukraine hit targets in Russia. Right now, their active campaign is supporting Ukraine creates American jobs. Let our leaders know. Oh, and actually, hold on a sec. Need to do one more thing. There we go. Okay. Oh, and you can also, I don't know how large it is, but you can see the URL a little bit. It's votervoice.net/Razom for Ukraine. Yeah, we're going to end the stream here in a bit because this audio issue is just getting too persistent and annoying to deal with. But if nothing else, just remember this. Go to Razom. Check out their most recent campaign, which is supporting Ukraine creates American jobs. Let our leaders know. Click on the option. It'll open up with all of this that you can automatically fill out to send an email and get alerts for how you can further assist. It's very quick. It's very easy. And it's a great way to contact your elected officials. When I find that other link, then I will pull it up again and post it in the Discord for everyone because that should be saved under important links. I thought it used to be under the U.S. campaign link, channel, but I'm not seeing it. In any case, let me put this up right now so you guys have it. All right. So that's basically it for today, guys. We're going to call it because I'm going to have to keep my eye on the audio constantly because of this bug. Actually, I'm on a PC right now, and I constantly have been having these really annoying, weird, stupid audio problems from the PC. So next time we do a stream, maybe I'll try with OBS one more time from the Mac. And if I don't run into any audio problems there, then instead of the problem being OBS, it probably is just either my specific OBS configuration on this computer or some weird obscure Windows problem. But anyway, thank you for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. Continue to stand with Ukraine. We still have our fundraiser going, and also big news. We are getting very, very close to monetization for the channel. And I was going to wait until after it happens, but hopefully we'll get over, I think it's just 25 more hours or so of watch time that's needed. So maybe, try to go back, watch some of the videos, add a few extra watch hours, and then it should get there. And what I'm wanting to do is the best way to support Ukraine and the best way to get the money to troops is still going to be through PayPal donations, which should be showing up there in the upper right. If you want to support the 110th Mechanized Brigade, that is how you can do so with PayPal in the upper right now. But I also really want you guys to be able to have something that allows you to make a donation that pops up on the screen. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a way for Ukrainian accounts to actually, maybe, I don't know. I'll have to ask Rick or someone else about that, but I don't think Ukrainian accounts can directly be linked for YouTube. I think there's a workaround for it. But once that happens, until there's something where we can have a similar system to before, where there was the blue Buy Me a Coffee for the channel and the yellow Buy Me a Coffee to support troops, and both of those were, separate and just they both would pop up on the screen when a donation occurred. I want to make sure that anything that pops up on the screen doesn't confuse people. So if this channel does get monetized and, people start making super chats, then until a similar system to Buy Me a Coffee can be set up, my original plan was to keep that system in place and just insist on people, please to use the yellow Buy Me a Coffee. But since that's not available now, I'm going to set it up to where super chats, I'm going to assume, are for troops and make sure the money gets to where it needs to go. Unless someone specifies otherwise in a comment and says it's for the channel. If we get to where we've got Buy Me a Coffee or something similar set up again in a nice format, then I might flip it to where that way I'm not having to deal with the extra cost and the extra steps of transaction fees and all that with YouTube. And we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But for now, this is me signing off. Thank you for being here for both of the streams today. Support Ukraine. And you know what? I'm making a donation right quick, sending it over PayPal to Anton. Anyone who wishes to join me, please feel free to do so. And we will be getting that to troops. Oh, I have no idea if it could be my sound card. Oh, you were gonna go to the Ukraine Action Summit this month? Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to make it this month, unfortunately. I might try to attend over Zoom if they have that. I attended over Zoom before last year, but I definitely won't be able to go in person just because I've got too many things on my plate. All right. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. All right. I went ahead and sent my donation, guys. And whatever you can give, mine was 50. If you can do 5, 10, 50, 100, whatever it might be, it all is very helpful. All right. Thanks. Oh. Do you have... Oh, Mr. Squiggle. You might have hit the nail on the head. Do you have the microphone plugged into the audio jack? That can sometimes cause it. Yes, I do. Because sometimes the other... That's food for thought. Maybe I need to use wireless, Bluetooth, or USB headset or something. But yeah, you know what? Maybe that's it. Although it's weird. I still don't know why that would be happening only with OBS, but not with any other software that I use. But that could be it. So yeah, thanks for putting that on my radar. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're going to try to go back to our normal time next week, assuming I don't have a million things that get in the way. And thanks for being here. Slava Ukraini. All right. Bye.